Welcome to History with Herodotus, where we embark on a journey through the ages, exploring the triumphs and tribulations of humanity's greatest civilizations. Today, we delve into the fascinating tale of the rise and fall of the Roman Republic, a story of power, politics, and the human condition. In the misty dawn of Italian history, when the sun rose over the rolling hills and verdant valleys of the peninsula, the seeds of a mighty empire were sown. The city of Rome, nestled on the banks of the Tiber River, was born from humble beginnings, its early inhabitants a mix of Latins, Sabines, and Etruscans. As we wander through the streets of ancient Rome, we find ourselves surrounded by the whispers of the past, echoes of a people who would eventually forge an empire that would span continents and leave an indelible mark on human history. To understand the rise of the Roman Republic, we must first look to its mythical founders, Romulus and Remus, twin brothers said to have been nursed by a she-wolf and destined for greatness. The legend tells us that these brothers, born of divine lineage, would go on to found the city of Rome, with Romulus ultimately reigning supreme after a bitter struggle for power. Though shrouded in myth, this tale speaks to the deep-seated desires and aspirations of the Roman people, their longing for a glorious past, and a sense of shared identity. From Romulus to Tarquin the Proud, these monarchs shaped the early Roman state, establishing its institutions, laws, and customs. It was during this era that the Romans began to forge their unique cultural identity, blending elements from their Latin, Etruscan, and Greek heritage. The expulsion of the last king, Lucius Tarquinius Superbus, in 509 BCE marked a pivotal moment in Roman history as the people rose up against monarchical rule and established the Roman Republic. This bold experiment in governance would go on to shape the course of Western civilization, its impact still felt today. The early years of the Republic were marked by struggle and turmoil as the Romans navigated the challenges of self-rule, confronting internal conflicts and external threats from neighboring states. As we explore the formative events leading up to the rise of the Roman Republic, we find ourselves in the company of larger-than-life figures, men like Lucius Junius Brutus, who embodied the Republican spirit, and Publius Valerius Poplicola, a champion of the people's rights. These individuals, driven by their passions and convictions, helped shape the Republic's early years, laying the groundwork for the remarkable achievements that would follow. The Rome of this era was a city in flux, its inhabitants a dynamic mix of patricians and plebeians, each with their own distinct culture and traditions. The year 494 BCE marks a significant turning point as the plebeians, tired of their marginalization and exploitation, stage a mass secession, withdrawing from the city to the Sacred Mount, a hill just outside Rome. This bold move, led by Lucius Sicinius Bellutus, forces the patrician leaders to confront the grievances of the common people, ultimately leading to the establishment of the tribune of the plebs, a position created to protect the rights and interests of the plebeians. The early 5th century BCE is also marked by a series of conflicts with neighboring states as Rome expands its territories through a combination of diplomacy and military conquest. The Battle of Lake Regillus in 496 BCE, where the Romans defeat the Latins, is a notable example of this expansionist phase as it secures Rome's position as a dominant power in central Italy. Meanwhile, internal struggles continue to shape the Republic as figures like Appius Claudius, a staunch patrician, and Publius Licinius Calvus Aeschylius, a champion of plebeian rights, engage in a series of debates and power struggles that will define the course of Roman politics. The 5th century BCE is also an era of significant cultural and architectural development as Rome begins to take on the characteristics of a major urban center. The construction of the Temple of Jupiter, Optimus Maximus, completed in 509 BCE, marks a high point in this process, as it becomes a symbol of Roman power and prestige. As we imagine the dedication ceremony, with its elaborate rituals and sacrifices, we can almost hear the words of the Roman poet Ennius, who would later write, "The Romans, from small beginnings, have grown to greatness," a phrase that captures the essence of Rome's remarkable ascent. As the 4th century BCE begins, Rome faces new challenges, including a series of wars with the neighboring Etruscans and the devastating sack of the city by the Gauls in 390 BCE. This traumatic event, which sees the Romans forced to flee their city as the Gauls pillage and burn, marks a low point in Roman fortunes, but also serves as a catalyst for future growth and expansion. The subsequent reconstruction efforts, led by figures like Marcus Furius Camillus, who was instrumental in driving the Gauls out of Rome, helped to galvanize the Roman people, fostering a sense of unity and purpose that will propel them towards even greater achievements. The years that follow are marked by a series of significant military campaigns, as Rome expands its territories through a combination of conquest and strategic alliances. The Latin War, fought from 340 to 338 BCE, is a notable example of this expansionist phase, as it secures Rome's position as the dominant power in central Italy. Meanwhile, internal reforms continue to shape the Republic, as figures like Lucius Cornelius Cincinnatus, who serves as dictator and helps to implement key reforms, work to strengthen the Roman system of governance. As we move deeper into the 4th century BCE, we find Rome increasingly embroiled in a series of complex conflicts with neighboring states, including the Samnites, a powerful and warlike people from southern Italy. The Samnite Wars, fought from 343 to 341 BCE, and again from 326 to 304 BCE, are marked by a series of brutal and bloody battles, as Rome struggles to assert its dominance over this fiercely independent people. It is during this period that we encounter figures like Quintus Fabius Maximus Rullianus, who serves as dictator and leads the Romans to several key victories, cementing his reputation as one of the greatest military commanders in Roman history. The 3rd century BCE marks a new era of Roman expansion as the Republic turns its attention to the Mediterranean, engaging in a series of conflicts with powerful states like Carthage and Syracuse. The First Punic War, fought from 264 to 241 BCE, is a notable example of this expansionist phase, as Rome secures control over Sicily and Corsica, establishing itself as a major naval power. Meanwhile, internal struggles continue to shape the Republic, as figures like the Gracchi brothers, Tiberius and Gaius, work to implement key reforms aimed at addressing issues like land distribution and social inequality. The rise of powerful generals like Scipio Africanus, who defeats Hannibal at the Battle of Zama in 202 BCE, marks a significant turning point as the Romans begin to rely increasingly on military power to achieve their goals. Meanwhile, the growing wealth and corruption of the Roman elite, coupled with the increasing discontent of the common people, sets the stage for the great struggles that will soon engulf the Republic. The 2nd century BCE is marked by a series of significant events, including the Third Macedonian War, fought from 171 to 168 BCE, and the Achaean War, fought from 146 to 145 BCE. These conflicts, which see Rome emerge victorious against powerful states like Macedon and Achaia, help to cement its position as the dominant power in the Mediterranean. However, they also contribute to the growing instability of the Republic, as the Roman people become increasingly divided between those who support the expansionist policies of the Senate and those who advocate for a more cautious approach. As we move deeper into the 2nd century BCE, we find Rome facing new challenges, including the rise of powerful generals like Marius and Sulla, who will soon engage in a series of bloody conflicts that will shake the very foundations of the Republic. The Social War, fought from 91 to 88 BCE, marks a significant turning point as the Romans are forced to confront the growing discontent of their Italian allies, who demand greater rights and representation within the Roman system. Meanwhile, the Mithridatic Wars, fought from 88 to 63 BCE, see Rome engage in a series of complex conflicts with the powerful kingdom of Pontus as it struggles to assert its dominance over the eastern Mediterranean. The 1st century BCE is marked by a series of significant events, including the rise of Julius Caesar, who will soon cross the Rubicon and spark a civil war that will change the course of Roman history. The Catiline Conspiracy, uncovered in 63 BCE, marks a notable example of the growing instability of the Republic, as a group of disgruntled aristocrats, led by the charismatic but troubled Lucius Sergius Catilina, attempt to overthrow the government and establish a new order. Meanwhile, the growing power of the Roman people, coupled with the increasing corruption of the Roman elite, sets the stage for the great struggles that will soon engulf the Republic. As the 1st century BCE drew to a close, the Roman Republic was on the brink of collapse, its institutions weakened by corruption, factionalism, and the growing power of individual generals. The crossing of the Rubicon by Julius Caesar in 49 BCE marked a point of no return as he clashed with his rival Pompey and eventually emerged victorious, only to be assassinated in 44 BCE. The subsequent power struggle between Mark Antony and Octavian, Caesar's adopted son, would ultimately lead to the downfall of the Republic and the rise of the Roman Empire under Augustus. The legacy of the Roman Republic continued to shape the course of Western history as its institutions, laws, and values were adapted and transformed by the empire. The concept of citizenship, for example, which had been a cornerstone of the Republic, was expanded and redefined under the empire as people from diverse backgrounds became part of the Roman polity. As the Roman statesman Cicero once observed, "The Republic is a system of government in which the people are sovereign," a notion that would continue to inspire and influence political thinkers for centuries to come. As the Roman Empire expanded, it carried the legacy of the Republic with it, leaving an indelible mark on the cultures and societies it encountered. The spread of Latin, the language of the Romans, facilitated communication and cultural exchange across vast distances, while Roman law and architecture continued to shape the built environment and social norms of Europe and beyond. Even as the empire itself eventually declined and fell, the memory of the Roman Republic lived on, a testament to the power of human ingenuity, creativity, and perseverance. Today, the rise and fall of the Roman Republic remains a subject of fascination and study, a rich and complex historical tapestry that continues to yield new insights and perspectives. The Roman Republic may be gone, but its legacy endures, a powerful reminder of the enduring importance of citizenship, civic engagement, and the pursuit of justice and equality. That's all for today's History with Herodotus. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, remember that, to understand the present, we must first understand the past.